The end of Darwin. At the young X-Men's base, chaos takes over. The Hellfire Club invades the location, led by Sebastian Shaw, a villain who turns energy into pure destructive force and tries to convince the mutants to join them. Among the mutants trying not to give in are Darwin and Havoc. Seeing his friend in danger and starting to side with the group, Darwin acts on instinct and pretends he also wants to join them. His power is simple and absolute: adapt to anything to survive. He's already faced extreme heat, violent impacts, and even radiation. But what comes next is beyond any limit. Alex, still inexperienced, fires an energy blast at Shaw while Darwin protects his friend, but the villain only smiles and catches the blast. He absorbs all of it with ease.
It's a noble gesture.
With a cruel gesture, Shaw channels all the absorbed energy and forces it straight into Darwin's mouth. The power is so intense that the mutant's body begins to glow from the inside, desperately trying to change, evolve, resist. But there's no time. The glow intensifies, his face contorts, and in seconds he cycles through several transformations. But Darwin explodes in light, disintegrating in front of everyone. The Ice Head. In X-Men Days of Future Past, the Chinese monastery in 2023 becomes a war zone. The Sentinels have already broken through the defenses, and every second is crucial to maintain Wolverine's mental link to the past. Iceman runs against time, creating an ice bridge through the air, trying to help Kitty Pryde escape. Cold spreads across the entire environment, freezing walls, columns, and even the floor, while the Sentinels keep advancing. Bobby slides across the ice and fires freezing blasts, covering the robot in a thick layer of ice. For a moment it seems to work, but the Sentinel reacts. The frozen shell shatters and the robot absorbs the thermal energy, converting it into pure heat. The flaming Sentinel grabs Bobby by the neck and holds him until he can't breathe. Right after, his head is off and stomped into pieces. In seconds, the hero breaks apart, scattering frozen crystals all over the ground. Last Strike. In the same movie, Storm is also at the Chinese monastery, helping the surviving mutants defend themselves from the Sentinels. She summons a massive storm, whipping up winds and snow that slow the robots down and knock several of them out of the air, buying time for her allies. While she moves the winds, Storm turns quickly, but for a brief moment her back is exposed. A Sentinel seizes the opportunity and, without warning, charges and impales Storm from behind with a sharp blade that extends from its body. The attack is instant and lethal. Her body is then thrown into the abyss and falls already lifeless. The Last Kiss. Still in X-Men: The Last Stand, Cyclops returns to Alkali Lake, still shaken by Jean Grey's apparent death. He's alone and then removes his visor and blasts the water as a way to release his pain. Suddenly, Jean appears. She is now completely consumed by the Dark Phoenix and her presence is overwhelming. Scott recognizes her but can't understand that the woman he loved isn't the same anymore. She then asks him to take off his visor.
Take these off.
He tries to refuse, but she insists and then takes control of his optic blasts. They get closer and share a kiss. At the moment they touch, Jean's power manifests. The Phoenix's energy engulfs Scott in an intense, uncontrollable way. He isn't attacked physically, but the force wrapping around him is so great that his body starts to change. Wolverine and Storm arrive later at the site and find only his visor floating, confirming that Scott Summers is dead. The Dark Phoenix killed him. Disintegrated. Still in X-Men: The Last Stand, Professor Xavier and Magneto follow Jean to the old Grey family home, trying to handle the situation before everything gets out of control, since she's possessed by the Dark Phoenix. Magneto tries to convince her to embrace her power and join his cause, promising freedom, while Xavier insists she must regain control. The clash between them increases Jean's instability. She stands up and, consumed by the Phoenix, begins destroying the house. Walls crack, furniture flies, and the energy around them grows quickly. Xavier tries to approach and appeal to Jean's human side, talking and reaching out, but the Phoenix doesn't respond. She lifts him into the air and unleashes all the built-up power onto him. The force is immediate and intense. Xavier's body begins to fragment rapidly. He vanishes completely, leaving only empty space where he had been.
Don't let it control you.
Even after disintegrating in front of the Phoenix, Xavier wasn't completely destroyed. His mind was transferred into the body of a comatose patient identified as his brain-dead twin brother. That way, his consciousness survived, remaining intact even after what seemed like a definitive sacrifice, the Professor's death. And now we finally have the true final death of our beloved Professor. In Logan, Professor Charles Xavier is at the Munson family farm, seeking refuge with Logan and Laura. Tension rises when X-24, the young and feral clone of Wolverine, invades the place. Xavier, weakened by his neurodegenerative illness, mistakes the clone for Logan. He speaks calmly, saying that this had been the best night he'd had in a very long time. Suddenly, X-24 attacks. Without hesitation, he impales Xavier through the chest with his claws. The impact is immediate and brutal. Xavier screams in confusion, realizing only in his final moments that this is not Logan. The death is quick, and there is no way to defend himself. The clone's strength completely pierces his body. Laura tries to fight X-24, but he is far stronger and kills everyone else, then tries to kidnap the girl. Logan arrives shortly after, but it's already too late. He finds Xavier's lifeless body, and then the bodies of all the other family members in the house. Later, honoring the Professor's wish to be near water, Logan buries him by a lake. The last breath. Logan's end comes in the middle of a forest during an intense fight. He is exhausted, wounded, and his body is being poisoned by the very metal that once made him invincible. Beside him, Laura and a group of young mutants try to escape the Reavers, but the true nightmare returns. X-24. The battle is brutal. Logan tries to fight back, but his body no longer responds, until X-24 violently hurls him against a broken tree trunk, and the sharp stump impales him. Logan then begins to die slowly. Seeing this, Laura reacts. With the only adamantium bullet that Logan himself had kept, she shoots and the monster goes down. The danger is over, but the scene doesn't get any lighter. Laura runs to him, calling him daddy for the first time.
Keep coming, coming. Yes. You don't have to fight anymore. No.
Logan smiles with the look of someone who finally understands what peace is. He tells Laura she doesn't need to keep fighting and shares a true father-daughter moment with her. Our beloved Wolverine then finally rests in peace. Lethal Iron. In X-Men 2, Magneto is imprisoned in a high-security plastic cell, designed to prevent him from using his powers, since there is no metal anywhere in the environment. While he is contained, Mystique, in disguise, secretly injects a guard with a solution rich in iron. When Magneto senses there is metal in the guard's body, he immediately reacts. Using his magnetic powers, he begins extracting the iron from the man's blood. The process is violent and fast. The metal is pulled through the guard's pores and veins, deforming his body and causing severe hemorrhages. The guard screams, but there's no time to react or defend himself. Within seconds, his body suffers irreversible damage and dies, while small streams and spheres of iron float in the air, suspended by Magneto's control. The newly extracted metal allows Magneto to take his next step. He uses the iron spheres and strands to destroy the cell, finally escaping. Divine End in X-Men Apocalypse. The final battle unfolds in an intense confrontation between Apocalypse and the X-Men. Apocalypse absorbs the powers of several mutants, resisting the team's combined attacks and displaying nearly invincible strength. Magneto pierces his body with metal stakes, trying to pin him down, while Cyclops fires concentrated optic blasts. Storm uses her powers to create barriers and prevent the villain's escape, trapping him in the battlefield. With the situation becoming desperate, Professor Xavier encourages Jean Grey to unleash her full potential. Jean focuses her mind and energy, transforming into the Phoenix. A massive wave of psychic and cosmic energy surrounds Apocalypse, who tries to resist, but the force is far greater than anything he has ever possessed. The energy begins to disintegrate his body as he struggles to remain standing. Apocalypse is completely overwhelmed by the Phoenix. The energy consumes his physical form, eliminating his defenses and gradually destroying him. Every previous attack from the X-Men helped weaken him, but it is Jean's power that delivers the final blow. In seconds, Apocalypse is disintegrated without leaving a trace. Impaled. In X-Men Dark Phoenix, Mystique's death happens in a quiet suburban neighborhood, but the calm quickly turns into chaos. The X-Men arrive at the old Gray family home trying to reach what remains of Jean. She is completely taken over by the Phoenix Force, radiating unstable energy that shakes the ground and cracks the walls. Amid the destruction, Mystique chooses a different approach. No violence, no powers, only words. While Xavier and Cyclops try to control the situation, she walks toward Jean calmly, asking her to breathe, to remember who she is. There's a moment of silence, a glimpse of humanity in Jean's eyes, before everything collapses. Jean panics. Her power erupts and Mystique is thrown into debris, impaled by wooden stakes. The sounds stop, and for a second, everything is motionless. Jean leaves and abandons Mystique bleeding and injured. Hank rushes toward her, but there's nothing he can do. She slowly dies in front of the X-Men. The massacre? Back in X-Men Days of Future Past, the dystopian future shows surviving mutants fighting against hyper-advanced sentinels, adaptive and lethal machines that hunt down any mutant they encounter. The battle scenes are brutal. Colossus, even in his metal form, has his head crushed. Sunspot tries to unleash all his power against one of them, but it's useless. His power is neutralized and he is quickly strangled to death. Iceman, like we mentioned earlier, shields himself using his frozen body, but he ends up with his neck broken and his head shattered by a sentinel. Blink, a teleportation expert, is also hunted by a sentinel that can adapt through her portals, and moments later she is impaled by one of its arms. Warpath attempts a final strike to buy time for Kitty Pryde and Bishop. He pulls out his knife and charges into battle, but the Sentinel kills him in seconds with one of its energy blasts. The deaths are quick, and at this point in the film it seems impossible to defeat them. Fatal X-Force. In Deadpool 2, Deadpool assembles X-Force to rescue Russell, but the mission quickly turns into a complete disaster, with almost every member dying in absurd and immediate ways. Bedlam, who manipulates technology and electricity, is the first victim, as he tries to land with his parachute when something goes wrong, and he crashes against a bus windshield, dying instantly with no chance to react. Next, Shatterstar lands inside a helicopter and is shredded by the blades, disappearing in pieces.
Well, I guess we found something you're not better at.
Vanisher, the invisible hero, is the third victim. He accidentally touches high-voltage wires and is instantly electrocuted, becoming visible only for a few seconds before dying. And that's when we see Brad Pitt's cameo. Zeitgeist falls into a garbage truck, but survives at first. Peter W., who has no superpowers, tries to help him after he's injured, but ends up being hit by Zeitgeist's acidic vomit, which partially melts his face.
Oh my God, what the fuck?
Moments later, Zeitgeist is crushed by the garbage truck.
Oh God. I'm gonna throw up in my mask.
Later, Deadpool goes back in time using Cable's device and saves Peter, making sure at least one member of the team survives, Human Shield. In Deadpool and Wolverine, Nicepool is a kind, scar-free variant of Deadpool, joins a shootout against a group made up of different Deadpool variants. During the chaos, the main Deadpool grabs Nicepool and uses him as a human shield to protect himself from Lady Pool's bullets. The problem is that Nicepool is just a normal human, with no mutant abilities or healing factor.
You did that on purpose.
I did no such thing. Listen to me.
Hey, gorgeous. How long does it take for you to regenerate?
Regenerate?
He is shot repeatedly in the torso, each bullet causing severe and fatal injuries. Even wounded, Deadpool keeps using him as a shield and encourages him to say out loud that he's going to survive, but those are false hopes. Because seconds later, Nicepool is shot in the head and dies.
With me. You're gonna live. I'm gonna live. Say it louder. I'm gonna live.
At least, in the end, Deadpool kept Dogpool.
Oh, come on. Fuck off!
Which death surprised you the most? Comment below. And don't forget to leave your like and subscribe for more videos. On the screen, there's a video where we show the most painful deaths in superhero movies. Click and watch. See you there.
Don't